The message for the American people is that America is on the right track, and it is the land of opportunity. It's a land of innovation and invention. And I think what the president is, what the messages that are being reinforced relative to the president and his leadership is about his tax cuts, his deregulation, his creating the right trade deals, unleashing the power of energy to create jobs so that America will continue with that economic prosperity that we had since he's come in. You know, we had a very, very strong economy, the strongest in the world, and then we were hit with the virus from China that just knocked the props out from under everything. But he reacted quickly. He closed the border from China, then he closed the border of those coming in from Europe, and he went into, you know, really went right to work setting up the task force to study the virus. And I have to say, this virus was perplexing. No one knew what to do at first. You know, we did close the country. We did shut things down because we tried, you know, to get a handle on it. We didn't want to overwhelm our medical systems. And once we got that under control and started to change the curve, you know, on the virus, then the president realized and knew that the economy would be killed if we didn't have to start to reopen. So he worked with the scientists to give regulations or suggestions to the governors on both sides of the aisles on how to open up and get the economy back on track. And I think we're seeing that working. I mean, for the past 3 months, we've created almost 9 million jobs. You know, and we came out of the Great Recession. By comparison, it took 4 years to create 9 million jobs, and President Trump has done it in about 3 months. So I think we're on the right track. Well, I think it is going to take a while, and that's why Congress needs to get back and do its job and get this fourth phase of support from the government, you know, to our small businesses, to the citizens of America, because we know that this is a hard uphill battle. You know, PPP did so much to help small businesses. And you know, small businesses, I think those that had, well, let's just look at it for a second. Those that had about 10 employees were the ones who received the majority, about 70% of PPP. And if you think about that, a majority of those were minority businesses. And so it really was a helping hand. But we need more now. We need more stimulus. And we need Congress to come back and do its job and get that fourth phase moving. The president decided not to wait. And he signed some executive orders to get some money flowing again into the hands of our people through the unemployment insurance. And I think now about 30 states are on board to start doing that. But we need to get Congress back, and we need to get this enacted so we can keep this train moving in the right direction.
And the executive orders, as worthy as they may be, appear to be taking longer than if we had legislation. Why don't we have a deal, Linda, as we continue to wait for the president?
We don't have a deal because Congress is not here to get the deal done. I think, you know, the Democrats they just wanted too much. They wanted too much money. They didn't want to compromise in ways that I think that made sense, you know, for the president. He was very willing to compromise on many of the issues, but they just couldn't come to terms. And then Democrats left town. Well, small businesses, you know, they do take the brunt of what's happening. But as I said, PPP really did help many small businesses. There were about 5.1 million loans, I think, made under PPP. And wow, and that really was a big help. The next 4 years, what we're going to see is that economic recovery, which is on pace to recover even more quickly than economists had even projected. I think we are seeing now more people returning to work, more jobs created than had been anticipated. I think the president is going to continue to work on fair and reciprocal trade deals. I think he's going to make sure that we have tax cuts now for the middle class, even more so than there were before. He's going to try to keep spurring small businesses and larger businesses too, by lower regulations. I think he's taking on the pharmaceutical companies to make sure that we can lower drug prices. All of these things he's been talking about, they're the pillars, I think, of what you'll see going forward in the next 4 years. And I think that's the advantage of re-electing Donald Trump, is that he already has plans in place. He already has put things in motion in our country that got really sidetracked or stopped as a result of COVID. But when he had reduced taxes and regulations, when he had put programs in place to unleash our energy, when he had already renegotiated NAFTA with the USMCA to improve on trade. And now he's going to bring more and more jobs back to our country. He's talking about incentivizing those companies that will bring their manufacturing back to the United States. We want to make sure that our supply lines are here. We don't want to be beholden, if you will, to China or even to other countries for the very basics that this country needs. And you'll see more and more of those policies put into place to continue what he's already started. Well, I think we saw that cutting taxes before very definitely spurred that growth. And I think now that we would look to, what I was just talking about was incentivizing businesses to bring back their manufacturing, keep creating more manufacturing jobs here in the country, clearly does put us on pace to have that continued growth and to restore. We've got some ground to make up right now, and COVID's going to take a while for us to get back to where we were. But I think then we'll see these other measures put in place that'll even help us grow more. Well, what we're seeing at America First in our polling is that we are definitely seeing the polls tighten. President Trump is very definitely, in my opinion, going to win this election. And I think the country is on the right track in so many ways. It's very difficult when you're in the middle of the COVID crisis and people are still, in their homes. They're not all back to work. They can't enjoy the freedoms they normally have. They're worried about their kids being able to go back to school. So if they're asked a question during the polling about is the country on the right track, they might at that point say, maybe it's on the right track, but right now I'm feeling it needs to change. But what we are seeing is that change. We are seeing less of the focus on COVID and now more of a shift towards the economy. What does the future hold? When am I going to get back to work? When can I reopen my business? And those are the things I think that are more on the minds of Americans now. So I think you'll see the polling start to shift more and that we are on the right track and that President Trump is the one to take us there.